How's it going, everyone? Cup of Science Joe here. I have found myself in Sunman, Indiana. And I am in the path of totality for the upcoming solar eclipse. It's Monday, April 8th, 2024. It's right around 12:50 p.m. right now, which means the solar eclipse begins for me in about an hour at 1:51 p.m. and totality happens between 3:08 p.m. and around 3:11 p.m. So I have about 2 to 4 minutes from what I've heard of totality. We got a puppykins. Oh, they're coming to see me. Hi. Hi, who's the cuties? Who's the cuties? Aww, you're a good boy. Dog's hitting the camera there. Hi. Hi. I'm going to get the process of imaging started from the beginning so I can try to capture the phases up to it. But the real goal is to get at least a few good shots of totality itself. Now, something I've thought about heavily is I don't want to compromise experiencing the solar eclipse by spending all my time trying to image it, but I feel pretty confident that I'm going to be able to get some good shots leading up to, during totality, and leading away from totality as well. And with that, please enjoy. Awesome, awe-inspiring, breathtaking. I struggled to find words that I think really explain the experience I had at this total solar eclipse. It is definitely unlike anything else I have ever experienced in my entire life. Now, there are cool parts of the partial phases, like partial solar eclipses are great, but the real spectacular part came in the few minutes of totality. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about the partial phases. So where I was in Indiana, we had a little over an hour of partial solar eclipse on either side of totality. So there was a time when the moon was moving in place of the sun, and then there was a time when the moon was moving away from being in place of the sun. And you get some really cool effects during these phases as well. Like if you use a colander, so if you just hold up a colander and let the light shine through it onto a white surface, sheet of paper, even concrete, it will project the half moon shape onto the ground. Because the closer you get to totality, the more the sun starts to look like a crescent moon from the moon blocking in front of it. And you can project this in cool ways. It'll happen through leaves. It will happen through the colander, like I said before. You can project it in some way onto another item. Like if you bounce it off a mirror and project it onto another surface. Because there's actually a shadow from the moon in front of the sun, you will get that crescent moon shape. And that was really exciting to see. I mean, even just that alone is not something that I had ever experienced before. And it steadily gets darker and darker as more of the sun is blocked. The temperature also drops too, and significantly during totality, but you can feel the loss of heat as the moon blocks the sun. And so you have color changes, you have the ability to project the shape of the sun onto the ground, you have the temperature dropping. It really feels like you're slowly stepping into another world. And then when totality happened, I mean, for me, it was incredible, but it really kind of felt like I was on another planet or in another dimension. because it is darker than daytime, but lighter than nighttime. Dark enough, though, that animals will start behaving as if it's nighttime. If you look all around you, you basically have what looks like a sunrise or a sunset. So just imagine a sunset all around your horizons. It's dark enough that some of the brightest stars are visible in the sky. So you have this disk of the sun with a black disk in front of it. The sun, actually, you just see its corona, its atmosphere, as white wisps coming out from around where it's blocked. And it looks really surreal. Like, it's you can't replicate it with anything else. And so it's up there in the sky. Stars are visible around it. You have this color change all around you down to the horizon where, like I said earlier, it's just a sunrise and a sunset earlier. And I was only with a small group, but that was the point when we got the most excited. In the few minutes, I think we had 2, maybe 3, 4 at most minutes of totality. And we all kind of just fell silent. Talked a little bit, but mostly fell silent. I took just a few pictures of totality, and then I stepped away from the camera because I knew that this was the moment where I really needed to pay attention to what was going on. All of the effects of the partial phase go away, and it really is just like being in a completely different world. To me, the way I would describe an eclipse in general, the partial phases are an experience for a lifetime, but totality feels to me like a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Now, personally, I do plan on trying to visit places to see total solar eclipses in the future, but if for some reason this is the only one I ever get to go to, I am just elated that it all worked out and that everything went so well. We had beautiful skies. The weather was perfect. It was like preordained, right? Because we got rain and clouds the night before, and we got rain and clouds that night after the eclipse. But it cleared out and was perfect for the time that the eclipse was happening. And we got a few clouds that would pass in front of the eclipse during the partial phases, but it was a small enough amount that it actually created a pretty cool effect. Like, there was a point where I was standing in front of my camera to let it cool off a little bit, even with the filter, and then I saw the clouds pass in front, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, and I ran back around to snap a couple of pictures. I definitely took more pictures during the partial phases because we just had a lot more time of it than the brief moments of totality. And so, yeah, I mean, I gotta thank my family, my mom who traveled with me, the family members who let us stay with them. It was a lot of fun to get to visit and meet people for the first time, and also get to experience the total solar eclipse. And I would recommend to anyone who is ever presented with an opportunity to go to a total solar eclipse, please, please, please take it. You absolutely won't regret it. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I implore you to step outside tonight and look towards the stars.